Have a great show.
Thank you. Hi, Lauren Snyder. Welcome to Authenticity on the Sology Network. I am so honored to have you on. I am also grateful because we have a mutual friend, Jess, said, you have got to talk to Lauren. She would be
Oh,
great for your show. Yeah, so it was really sweet of her to connect us. Thank you. Welcome. I love your hair today.
oh, thanks.
Before we started the show, you were talking about that you're in Big Fork, Montana. And that is a huge difference from Sedona, weather-wise. But I know on your, because we don't know each other that well, so my
Yeah.
show is authenticity, so I'm being as authentic as I can. I learned some things about you from, viewing your page and listening to some of your things. And it says that you obviously do therapy through horses and that you're a mentor and that you work with, is it trauma? It's trauma healing?
I do a lot of complex trauma healing, working with individuals, but my biggest passion, and this, I think we all have trauma. So I just also want to say that, like, it's not
Yes.
a specific demographic, it's everyone on the planet. I think that's what we're working through in this lifetime. And a big passion that, aside from nature and animals and kind of rekindling that wildness that I think that we're really yearning for as humanity being on Earth and what we're ready to start creating. I'm a huge believer in relational healing. So the power of healing of we've been doing this so long, like alone, like, oh, like this kind of Chiron energy, this wounded healing energy, and almost trying to prove ourselves, like how much can I heal? And there's a lot of like ego in that. And what I've really found through the years is actually like the deepest healing. And there is a space for that. There's time that we need to go inward and the space of beingness and just feeling and getting to know ourselves. But the deepest healing, and again, my biggest passion is back to the relational healing, is learning how to actually co-regulate our nervous systems. Because I really believe, we are moving into unity consciousness. We're not separate. So the old empath story of like, the world, and like all these people and the narcissists and blah, 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 like, it's time to start coming back into the world and connecting and living and being a part of this human experience. And when I have had other individuals around me, friends, practitioners, and the spaces I like to create are really safe spaces to just be fully ourselves in all ways. And I think that like relief that we don't have to be anything, pretend anything, is so healing. Like, we don't feel alone. And that's the core trauma right there, is that loneliness. And it goes back to thinking we're separate from source. So I think this healing is really about coming together.
I love that. What an intro. And when you say
I'm so passionate about it, so I just like could go on and on about it. Yeah.
it's incredible, and I want you to. I mean, that's what this platform is for, and what it's providing people new information that perhaps they don't know that is available to them. And when you say relational,
Yes.
um, therapy, or what do you exactly mean by that?
I believe some of the biggest healing happens through relatability. So I know for myself, and I think this really ties in great to this authenticity thing, because I've been kind of in this like spiritual world for a while. Like, hence, like I was just saying, I used to live in Sedona. It's like a spiritual mecca on the planet.
Right.
And I love Sedona, and I have tons of amazing soul friends there. And I'm just going to be authentic. And my experience often was I didn't feel safe. It was very welcoming to be free to be your spiritual self. And I get that that's part of the process when we're first awakening, right? It's like, oh, we want to like be our like Palladian self and fairy self. And and feel that freedom, which is really important because that's been suppressed. And at the same time, when I was still, I was a practitioner, I was doing all this stuff. I used to do very intuitive, like channeling, cosmic, all this stuff. But the more I grounded into my humanness, I was so craving just to like shoot the shit with people, man. Like, just let's talk. Like, let's just and I still had tons of emotions. Like, no matter how far I expanded, and even to this day, like sometimes I'm like, is anyone still feeling all this stuff? Like I'm such a big feeler, and I often felt unsafe sharing like just my humanness. Like it was a lot of like proving how spiritual I was, and let me come to this event with my spiritual resume. And I was on a journey to find something different, and I needed to find people that could accept all of me. And that was deepening my journey of authenticity. Yeah.
I love that. You said so many things that are very important where a lot of us are at the moment. And I had a conversation with a beloved sister on my last show, and it was about encompassing all of us, and that a lot of this is the process that you speak of. I believe we had to go through all those steps to get to where you're speaking about now, because we are becoming not only the realization that we're cosmic beings, but we're realizing that we're becoming even more human.
Yes.
Because the journey was to raise our consciousness and to embody that you're not separate. And once we went through all that, now we're coming on the other side, let's say, and now we want to be more human, but we're being human from a conscious level.
Yes. Yes. It's bringing that consciousness into every 3D part of this experience. It's not like negating it or wishing it away and only 5D is the way to go, or this new earth, Yes, we're anchoring that, but we there's no shame in emotion and having sadness or having a hard time or just trudging through this. This was a big thing. I used to say, this is hard. And people would say, that's a belief system, like you're just creating that reality. And I'm like, okay, like it's tough, man. And the more I find other people that are like, I know this is so dang tough, it actually feels less tough because
Sure.
now we're in it together. And this craving I had of my awakening, a lot of my viewers or people that I've worked with or people that follow my work know that I had a near-death experience, and that was the catalyst to my awakening. It was very cosmic. It was very crazy. And yet my journey is still this
Lauren, what
learning.
year was that?
I was about 7.5, almost 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was hard. It was a bumpy ride back into this body. But that's been the journey. And I believe partly why I chose to leave Sedona, even though I go back but we were guided up here in Montana, and like I'm just living this physical life of, it's not a lot of bells and whistles, I don't know. I have all these animals. I have horses and dogs and geese and chickens, and I'm picking up poop every day. And I am literally like chopping wood, carrying water, and finding so much peace and so much joy in these mundane tasks of just being human. Like, yeah, sure, the sacred sites, all of that's really exciting. But when we can start to find peace and just the slowness, the slow kind of heaviness of this reality, and I start to feel my body, I start to feel more connected to the land, to actually the multidimensional aspects open up. Like I'm walking my horses, picking up poop, getting downloads. I'm feeling, interacting the multidimensionality of my horses. It's all there. And we can experience it just by being ourselves.
And really, what you're speaking of is where we're headed, but we're going to be doing it collectively. And so there was, I'm sure because of how long you've been on this journey, you understand that there's different phases to this journey. And there's people waking up right now as we speak. And some of us, the role is going back to the mundane life and the riches of the earth and enjoying being a human from a conscious perspective. Some people coming in now, maybe taking up the role that you had prior for others who are waking up, or, that have questions, who are going to mentor them or show the way. And some of us who've been doing this for a while, our roles are changing. And so we honor the journey for you, Lauren, and what you're choosing to do in your life, and that we're all creating our own heaven on earth now. And these are just individual but collective heavens that make up the collective world. And so it's just what you're speaking of is so true, that these sacred sites, Sedona, Mount Shasta, Egypt, all these places that we all love or in awe of, that are sacred to Gaia, to us, they're there for us to experience, but it is not to forget the human experience.
100%. It's all of it. And I hope
It's all of it.
Yeah, it's all important. Every part, like you're saying, part of the journey. Like if you feel called to those sacred sites, go. It's amazing. Like
Mhm.
I love traveling. I love all of that. I think and it's a perfect kind of segue too, because astrologically where we're at, this new moon today and Scorpio and all of this, we're it's that it's not the duality of it. It's not this or that. And it's
It's
not
both.
it's
Right.
both. It's like no matter how many green juices and ayahuasca journeys and all this and that, you know what I mean? Like you're not better, you're not more spiritual, and it's not going to get you necessarily further. Like it's the whole, it's the messy stuff. It's getting in the muck. It's going deep. It's going inward. Um, and the courage to be human, the courage to not feel different and better than and ungrounded and separate from the collective. I don't believe we're leaving anyone behind through this transition. I deeply personally don't.
I don't believe we are either.
Yeah, and I think it's like if we're not learning how to hold space for everyone's perspective, no matter where they're at, and we can do it. Sometimes we need boundaries and we need space from things that feel maybe like more toxic or, that's okay. But man, if we don't know how to talk to our neighbors, how do we think we're going to start creating all these like high vibe soul tribe spiritual communities out in the woods? I mean, we need to learn some skills here about connecting. And I think we're still, and that includes me, it's been a journey of relearning that with still being conscious at the same time. It's not easy. Relational skills are tough, man. Are really, really tough. And we can go to ecstatic dances and we can go to sound healings and all talk love and light. But I'm talking about the days that you feel cranky, that as a woman, my hormones might be going berserko and I'm like feeling a little wonky. Like, how do I still show up in life and talk to my neighbor and talk to my clients and still have room just to be all of me? How do we navigate this whole thing and come together and it be okay to be all of that?
Well, I call it, excuse my French, but I just say cut the shit. Let us all cut the shit out, because we started sub-level games by thinking, sound healings and all these things that those were all programs as well. we're coming to find out that all these, it's all, I'm sure, divine, and the way that it was orchestrated.
Oh,
Now that we've embodied and lifted our consciousness and the collective is coming up, we want to come back to earth, embody that which we understand, and now put those practices forward in everything in life, from technology to where you are with your horses, where we are, the way we grow our food. The whole point was bringing awareness to how things were going on this planet, right? The whole point was to let us know, hey, perhaps something isn't right here. And so a bunch of us got a wake-up call and said, hey, things need to change. And slowly we are seeing this change among the world, because some of us stepped forth early, like yourself. You were a practitioner, or beloved sisters who do ascension courses, or how to embody, and they were all got these downloads for a reason, and it was all to assist us to get to where we are now, so that we can live in ease and grace and in harmony. But that doesn't mean butterflies and rainbows all day. That doesn't mean that we're not human. It means that we're able to process things a lot faster. I'm sure that you notice that things come in for us to look at, and they don't stick around for as long as they used to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're processing at such a light speed, and it's almost astonishing how much we're doing in this lifetime. I think it's beyond even what we can ever comprehend. And my near-death experience showed me that I was able to see at that time kind of my whole template and everything that my soul had chosen. Like it was like all of these patterns and choice points. Like it was just like this crazy, beautiful matrix. And you're alluding to the divinity and the perfection of it all. And that's how I felt in that moment of all the traumas, all the darkness, everything on earth, everything I had experienced to that moment, everything that was about to unfold. There was like this, man, I just remembered thinking, like, not only was it so massive what we were doing individually and collectively, like there's many dimensional spaces that were affecting healing on. And it was I like came, and this was like when I first kind of like popped back into the body after this. I was just like a little elated, but I was like, it's all perfect. It's all cool, man. And I mean, that's hard to carry, into even my now moment. Cause sometimes I'm like, right, it's hard. This is really hard. I'm really tired. Why did I incarnate at this time? I still have those moments like, ugh. But I know that it's, for anyone, especially that feels that they're not doing enough too, I think that's really important. I know that this program, I think, speaks to all ranges of newly awakening and farther down the journey. I think it's also important to know that you just bringing conscious awareness, like you're saying, to what's the matrix and these agendas, just being aware of it is massive. Being aware of your own patterning is rippling into the universe. Not everyone has to have this big, successful soul business and be a big channel and this and that. There's so many ways that you bring your energy of healing and transformation and light. And I really think it's the more we become ourselves, like the safer, again, that we feel just to be fully free. Like that's how we're going to embody freedom on this planet. That's how we're going to start really healing. And that's more than enough. Like if you're awake and watching this show, like you're already so ahead of the curve, and you are more than enough and doing more than enough.
Yeah. And I used to tell some of my beloved friends and sisters, we would have these conversations, and there was some scenarios where people thought, that the whole thing was going to collapse. And I was like, well, how are you going to get gas in your car? Who's going to be at the grocery store when you want to go buy food? Who's going to be at the bank? Who's going to be at the gas station? It doesn't happen that way because everyone that's on this planet has a specific role they're playing and what brings them joy. I feel in this now moment more than ever, Lauren, that what we've done and what we'll continue to do is to understand that we are not separate. And some of us had to go first. Some of us had to pave the way, right? Had to pave the road so that they can come down and lay the concrete, and somebody else could lay down the lines. And then somebody had to come in with some lights. It's all part of this plan.
Yeah.
It's not that anyone is ahead of the game. No one is ahead of anyone. 2023 was about the end of the year of the guru.
Yeah.
Right? No one needs to be put on a pedestal any longer.
No.
But we came through that, through what we've all had to walk to get here, that understanding. We had to experience it all. You know how you don't realize something when you're in it until afterwards.
Yeah.
And so that's why I do believe we had to take 8-10 years for some of us to be where we're at, because there was a certain level of energy as conduits that assisted with that coming in.
Yeah, there's things about our journeys that it's tough because we don't always see or understand. And that's where the faith and trust comes in of like, if you know, and every day, you are doing all that you can to take one more step to living your most authentic life, to following that next micro joy. And that could be taking a nap. Like that could be a huge part of like your, what you need next. Or yeah, and sometimes moving a little more outside of that box. Like it's so incredible. And all of these jobs, like you were talking about, like whether you're a postman or working at the gas station, when I used to do a lot of more intuitive work and looking into people's fields and kind of seeing all their patterns and their kind of soul lineages, I would see like the mechanic is an integral part of creating new earth.
Yeah.
It's titrated down to this specific job that maybe is a more, I don't like to use the word 3D, but old paradigm, right? And there's, suffering, like he hasn't that, let's say he hasn't gone through that healing or awareness, but that mechanic is going to transform into being a very integral part. And what I mean is like everything filters through these dimensional spaces. And so if we can remember that like everything you're doing, it matters, and it's probably linked to something more expansive from a higher filter. And we all have, when I look at people's energy fields, like it's like we've all incarnated with a very, some of us have really advanced heart chakras, some of us have advanced third eye chakras, right? Some of us had a really advanced root chakras, and then what's going on in the chakra is like mind-blowing and crazy, and the person may have no awareness, kind of, they don't think there's anything special about them, but there is. It's like their heart is expanding out and like moving into other people's hearts and awakening things, and it's really cool. We're all badasses. It's just we haven't quite, some of us are just still, discovering that.
Sure.
But I believe that we're all like back to that unity. We're not separate. We're like a perfect instrument in this orchestra. And one day we'll all kind of come into realization of that.
And I believe that we are slowly but surely. And it's on a fast forward button now. I do see it moving quicker and quicker now.
Oh man, I've never experienced it this fast, especially this year and what's going on. And I feel there's another wave of awakening. There's another wave of detoxing, a lot of deep psyche connected to agendas and programming and brainwashing. Like we're really unfurling from this sticky web that we've been in. Even someone like myself that I would say I've been on this for a while and have awarenesses of all the agendas and things like that. But I go, oh man, I can still feel them untangling from
Yeah.
my awareness. And I think that makes sense because we look around and look at that shadow is just, it is out in plain view right now.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide now.
Nowhere to hide.
Yeah,
They're
I said that.
hiding. Yeah.
Well, we can see. I could see. I feel like this is really important topic for anyone who's going to watch the replay or is watching now. Lauren, I want to talk about your horse therapy.
Okay.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Can we? I would love that.
Yeah.
What does that entail? Explain what it's all about if somebody is interested in that.
Yeah. So I been studying learning how to hold spaces with horses. Well, it started kind of with my own journey. Like I felt called to start working with horses one day. It actually I was in Arizona when it happened and they changed my life. It's if you haven't been around horses, it's a little hard to put words to it. These beings are so huge and it can be intimidating to be around if you didn't grow up around them. And so their energy fields are massive, and particularly their heart chakra. They have really big hearts, and their electromagnetic fields can go out sometimes 10, 15 feet. So when we're around them, we start doing this natural nervous system co-regulating. So not
Mm,
only are we starting to attune to them, which they are always and only living in the present moment. It's literally even just how their brains are structured. They're just very present. They're just only in the moment. Most animals are,
right.
we are also, they also, there's two things happening. We're kind of attuning to them if we're open to it. And when you start to come into the present moment, if you can let your nervous system kind of come to that vibration or that speed, a lot of emotion can come up, both positive and both intense. Grieving things, awarenesses start to happen because they're bringing you into a 0 point, a point of neutrality. And in that space, everything can open up, all possibilities, and also all healing can happen because you can allow the past to finally feel free to catch up to the now. And so those frozen pieces in our nervous system can finally reintegrate, and we have more life force energy. And the other piece that can happen around horses is they're also kind of attuning themselves to you because in a herd, they all have the same kind of heartbeat. That's how they know if there's a predator. They're so attuned that if someone's heart shifts a little bit, they all feel that. That's how they're
Mm,
like, if you ever watch a herd, they're like
right.
totally in sync. So it's calling you to also, if you come into that space and you are bringing a lot of unconsciousness that you've been kind of suppressing, and you may be one of those people that are like, I am all love and light, but a horse will call you on your shit, because if you're really having some shit that you've been suppressing, they're feeling that because energy doesn't lie, and that's what they feel, and they will mirror that. So they will start to be reactive or cranky, or they're kind of, they're showing you where you're at. They're the perfect embodiment of a mirror relationship. And so it's intense, to say the least, working with horses. And I just brought my herd home, and so I'm getting ready to start working with people and horses, and hopefully our goal is to open up a healing ranch and do this work.
How amazing. So, did you have to take some educational courses to do this, to work with therapy with horses?
So I'm not a licensed therapist. So I say therapeutic coach is kind of what I go for, just for like legal reasons. But I Yes, I have studied with, I have mentors. There's an incredible woman up here, Sally, that works with, I volunteered at a horse therapy place here in Montana. I've also worked with an amazing woman. I'm going to say her name, Michelle Peterson, Sedona, Arizona as well. But the biggest learning, quite honestly, has come from my addiction. It's probably a little bit of addiction, but is just daily working with these beings. Like I kind of was obsessed. Like this became my obsession, reading all the books, doing all the things, but really you just learn by spending time with them. Like all of this stuff just happens and and I think if as healers and practitioners, maybe we pick up on it and we start realizing this is what's going on.
I loved a few things that you said about horses because I've been, I've spent some time with horses, but in brief moments. And they remind me of how I feel when I stand in front of the ocean sometimes, that feeling how they're so expansive. They're so large, even though I don't know, they're very intimidating, but I can see how they could break some fears for people. I can see how the mirroring because they feel you, you feel them. Their heart chakra is very strong. And you can feel and sense them as much as they feel and sense you. And that's what's I feel the intimidating part is because it's the frequency and bandwidth that we're feeling from one another is very present and very real. And that's how I felt when I was in Hawaii and I'm standing in front of the ocean in Oahu. And I'm in this private beach area and it's just nothing but water.
Mm.
It's heavenly, but also intimidating. I had this peace, but yet I understood the grandness of it. And I feel like horses and all animals have this healing quality. And you hear about people who use dogs in nursing homes with elderly people or with illnesses. And here in Idaho, we have the Idaho Youth Ranch who uses horses to assist with kids who've had traumatic events in their lives. And so I know that this is such important work that you're following your intuition to go into. You also brought up something that was very important that I hope people hear very clearly. And that is you don't have to be a licensed therapist to do the service work that you're providing because your experience and your love for it shows. And everybody that's watching right now can see it. And I'm so excited for anyone and you and to follow your journey. How much have you had an instance personally that you want to share with the horse that has helped maybe heal or expand you in a personal way?
Oh gosh, so many. Let me tune in for a second. Oh, it's to bring me to tears. I mean, these beings are technically they're prey animals and we're a predator and they know that. They know that there's a difference going on. And I have 3 horses and one of my horses is a wild Mustang from Idaho actually, from the BL. Yeah. And I believe my horse was maybe in holding for a few months, and then he had about 30 days of a little bit of training. Like he had not been around very many people or anything when I got him. And um, when a horse feels safe enough to be around you, and what I mean safe is we all have a lot of love, but safety in allowing I have a very different perspective about horsemanship. And, my thought is just allowing them to be them and they want the same for me. And every time I show up exactly as I am, it doesn't matter actually if I'm sad or upset, but when I'm honest and I can show up, that's what feels safe for the horse. When you're trying to be something like I was saying earlier and you're not, that's when things go awry. So the unconditional love that I felt as the horse approaches me and is wanting to connect with me, no matter what I was feeling, but that I was being honest and authentic. And, this horse coming to me to sniff me and nuzzle me. And one day I was standing there, I was actually very sad, and I had my arm open like this, and this is the Mustang. He came up behind and put his head through my arm and fell asleep.
Oh my goodness.
And that's not, that means he felt safe, but I also was having to feel safe enough to feel and just be who I was in that moment. So the healing, it's beyond words, right? It's like these crazy moments that you can't. Yeah, it's big.
Wow. The
But it
ranch that
wasn't
you,
like I was like I didn't have to wear a headdress with crystals for the horse to feel safe. I just had to be human. I had to just be my fucking self. And that's healing to me.
that's pretty big for a horse to do that. That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's a movie. I feel like I was watching a movie there for a second. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
What are your plans for your ranch? So is this ranch going to be there where you're at? Is that the goal here there in Montana?
We're thinking so, so we're hoping that next year, if people come to Montana, by the way, you can look me up. I'm here and I'm having people come to the property and,
Beautiful.
but we want to expand. We're looking for more land, and because we have a lot of animals, and I think they all carry a different kind of medicine. And the energy in Montana is really pure and clear, and the water here holds this very pure crystalline frequency. And it's very grounding, for anyone like traveling to a lot of sacred spaces. It can be really activating, and a lot goes on, and sometimes too much. And what I find about Montana, and this is what I think we're cultivating, and actually Jess Matry, who was a guest on your show, she came and stayed with us this summer. It's actually coming back to this humanness, this grounding, this peace. Like, you'll sleep better here, you'll rest better, you'll feel more comfortable in your body, and it's a real invitation to feel your divine nature, and allow these animals to connect to you again. Like, you don't have to be perfect, it's just about being you. You get to fall in love with all of you again, and that's what we hope to you know offer people in these spaces.
Hmm.
Okay.
When you speak about the animals and the earth in Montana, I've driven through Montana. I've spent some time when I used to be a restaurant manager and I had to train in Billings or Bozeman. I don't remember which one now. It's been years ago, but Montana is beautiful. I feel Idaho is beautiful, northern Idaho. I mean, you could go outside of, I live in Boise, so I only have to go an hour and I start going up into the thicker woods. And there's something you feel immediately when you leave the city. Because earlier in the show, we were talking about that we don't have to build these communities, off the grid necessarily. We don't have to be spiritual beings in the woods. And I just want to tie it back to what you're talking about in Montana, that this picture that you're painting us, is this near a city? Is this city life? Is it more out in the country? Are you describing this life for yourself? How would you describe this area that you're at?
Yeah, we're definitely due to the variety of um the thing for me is, in cities there are certain sonics and frequencies that can be challenging to navigate for certain people. And I tend to be someone that I most certainly can go to a city and enjoy some things about a city. There's nothing wrong with cities. But they're there are harmonics and things happening that can just not be the highest good for the work that I want to do. And I know that in my energy field, I carry the Fibonacci spiral, right? This is something that imparted to me at some point in my journey that I became aware of. And so, what feels good for me personally is, in particular, being out and as much nature, kind of not totally away from people. I want people. I love people. Come, I want community. I'm not like, oh, I don't want to be around people, but is so I can have a space that feels most compatible to my nervous system. And so actually like pine trees or their natural spiral kind of mimics my field. And so they're my favorite tree. And I feel the most like nourished in this kind of environment. I think we're just looking for a space too, in an area in which there aren't going to be regulations or things that just kind of allow us to live more sovereign. If that, I'm really being mild with my wording, but if that makes sense. And so,
It does. It's coming across clearly. I understand, have an understanding what you mean, because what you're providing and what your service moving forward that you're feeling called to, that location makes sense.
yeah,
And it really is what works for, you said, your nervous system, and how going back to the individual person and what their needs are. Some people, the city life, living right downtown Boise and getting out of a condo and walking downstairs is heaven for them. And it works great.
There's creativity, there's people, there's connection, it's a buzz, like life is going on. I mean, it's absolutely individualized and we're all needed everywhere. And there are grid points that we all are called to be at for specific reasons.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of my work is so centered on nervous system restoration and healing. And so this environment, it's a great place for someone to even, reset. It's like to allow that exhalation and the earth the earth can come up wherever you're at and you can create that wherever you're at, of course, like you embody whatever you want to carry wherever you go. But it is nice to feel I would also say that the medicine of Montana is it's very raw, like raw primal Gaia energy. Because like you were talking about that ocean and that vastness, when I go hiking here and I'm out in Glacier or wherever, we just live at the bottom of mountains and it's intimidating. It's beautiful and scary. I mean, there are freaking grizzly bears. They're like life and death right there. Like the waterfalls, like even the water, it's like, wow, this is beautiful. But if I take one wrong step, I can feel that again, it's this but it's very powerful, but I can feel that space of life and death together. But I think it's actually really it's a really beautiful reintroduction or reconnection to the power and the beauty of living on Earth. Because so many of us want to go back to the stars, but man, when we can tap into what's already here, it's potent. It's really, really potent. And it's palpable here.
Yeah, it's really understanding that heaven is on earth. And that'll bring people back from the stars. They understood that being a physical cosmic being in a human body was the ultimate goal. To be cosmic, conscious, co-creative beings, to take our powers back, to find our voices, to understand there was an imbalance, and that we're brought the balance back. And now it's time to celebrate and let's move into some of these newer ways. And you're paving the way for other people who are listening now and on the replay that are having aha moments. Maybe not with horses, but with other pets.
And yeah,
it's endless because they all bring us so much healing joy. So much healing joy.
They're so angelic. They're just pure love, right? And we all really crave that. To
They
remember that.
definitely, they teach us what it is to be unconditional.
Yeah.
When I watch my dogs or my cat, they love us. You can raise your voice at them or not feed them on the exact time or whatever. They'll go, well, hopefully she will soon. You can see it in their face, like, ooh, are they going to feed me? But they show us from how they stretch before they move,
Yeah.
that rest is important and that they love playtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're so present, like you said. And I am so excited to see your journey grow because I want to come see you. I
Yeah.
I want to see what you have to offer there. Um, Lauren, we don't have too much time left, so I want to give the floor to you. I know that you have a website that you can use this platform to make people aware of where they can find you. And so I would like you to speak on that for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you so much. And it's been such a joy to talk about all of this stuff. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and your community. And community is so important. So thank you. And yeah, anyone can find me on like Facebook or Instagram. My name's Lauren Snyder. My website is laurensnyderhealing.com. And I do sessions. I do sessions online. So I have all kinds of different offerings as far as that. I do group classes and courses and workshops online. And if you're in the area, if you come to Montana, absolutely just reach out to me. You can even just private message me.
Right, because
Yeah,
you're on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram as well. I think it's Lauren Snyder Healing on Instagram. And yeah, and I do a lot of I'm gonna start getting back into doing live videos and things. And I have a couple new cool offerings coming up as far as I was talking about relational healing and community and bringing people together, at a bi-monthly, meeting place where we can talk about these things and really go deep with each other. And it's for people that are practitioners, not just newly awakened. It's anyone craving a space where they can just finally like let go of what they think they should be and come into a space with other women that feels really authentic and supportive. Like, I mean, authenticity, I love that this is your podcast, like the energy of it, because I would say the one thing that I am passionate about in my journey is being authentic. And we can only be authentic as far as we can know ourselves in truth. And so that's the journey. I'm more authentic today than I was yesterday. And I'll be more authentic in a year from now. It's like that's the journey, is releasing what's not so we can embody what is.
That's completely true. Because once we have let go of all the rhetoric, all the nonsense, things that we thought were supposed to be or do, then the clearer the channel you become.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then your complete connection with source and your higher self is all encompassing and always coming through clear. And we're becoming more and more present. I find that the journey has taught me that, to
Mm,
stop thinking of what I'm going to say next,
yeah,
stop thinking about what I'm going to do next.
yeah,
It's mastering this now moment. I feel for me is being, we would use these words over the years, is to be now, the power of now, being present, to the point where it was irritating to people, where they were like, I've had enough with now. I am now, but I got to go to the store. Bye. you know, but where we are energetically, I can see the mastery of that.
mm,
So more clear. And it's again because of what I said, because we have removed so much,
yeah,
we've healed so much that we're having this inner dialogue now with ourselves. How important every moment is, so precious. Like you said about cleaning up the horse poop. doing the chores, how in the mundane you're finding the joy. And perhaps at an earlier time in our lives and stages, we were annoyed that we even had to do stuff like that. But now we're like, this is gold.
Gold.
This is love. I am so honored and grateful that I get to be here cleaning up this poop in this beautiful Montana, right? You have a total different perspective, is what this journey has brought us.
Yeah. And that's it. It's all a change. That's the whole journey, is really just a continual changing of perspective. And that's the heaven on earth, is once we can start perceiving it, it's here. It's available.
Yeah. And I always tell people, Lauren, is that we're more than just a bumper sticker on a car anymore. Namaste, or, oneness and all these names we've used and we're moving away from labels. We're moving a word from certain modalities and the way that we thought things or perceived things, which I'm grateful for, that they have their place in those moments.
Yeah.
But now I feel like what you're introducing with the horses, bringing someone of conscious mind and body now, that people are taking these roles that perhaps weren't so conscious.
Yeah.
Even to the way we process our food, meat packers, people growing their own food, their beef, or, because there's a lot of questions about being vegan or raw vegan or not eating meat, eating meat. And it's, we've went every way, sideways, upside down and around with this ascension journey. And now we're realizing that it is follow the joy.
Yeah. And follow
You're
your
in your
truth.
Yeah, because that's when you're in your highest alignment. Then there's no resistance, right? Because as soon as you do something because someone told you so, that was the only way that you were going to ascend, is by doing this, this, and this, and this. All of a sudden, you're in a box again.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of talk. Yep.
Yeah. And so we're finding new ways by having these conversations and to go easy on ourselves. If we were those who put people in boxes or didn't, or told them how to do things or not do things, that we're moving away from these judgments of self and others. It's so important.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you on Facebook yesterday and this morning, just so I can get familiar with your energy. And I love the rawness of it and the authenticity and the authentic Lauren that was coming through in that video, who was talking about, I've been doing this, this, and this, and I wanted to be authentic on here. And I just want us to just cut the bullshit. Let's just talk. Let's get together, right? And I love that. I've been so honored to have you on my show. I'm going to link your website to this video. I have already spent that this morning doing that on my promo. And I look forward to seeing your journey, and that we may all embrace our individuality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm excited to just explore this some more. I'll have you back on the show when you have your ranch open.
Oh, yeah, that would be wonderful. And you'll have to come up. I'll keep you posted on that.
I hope that you do. I really do, because I feel like you're onto something really beautiful and special. Horses are amazing beings. Very, very conscious, present. Oh, what an incredible way to spend your days, Lauren.
Yeah. And just to quickly add on that, I never in a million years could imagine that I would be in Montana with horses and all these animals. Like, this is not, even if someone knew me 3 years ago. So follow your joy, one micro step at a time.
One micro step. And that's what I tell my girlfriends and my family and friends, is that is your red flag for yourself. follow your own red flags. If this doesn't bring you joy, what are you doing?
Yeah. And no
Don't.
expectations. Like you do it because you have to. You do it because you have to. I had to be with the horses. I didn't go into it thinking I would be doing healing with them. I did it for me. Like I just loved it. And when we do that with everything, then we start to see how our purpose and our service starts to flow through that. So it's like holding it all lightly with no expectation. It's just be you. It's just like be you, do you. It sounds contradicting because it's like it almost sounds like self-centered and selfish, but that's how it births. I tell you, that's how it births.
Right. You were setting yourself up for something you didn't even realize you were setting yourself up for.
No idea.
Yeah. But if you look back now, it makes sense. The steps that you took, and here you are now.
Yeah, all of it.
That's why I say it's so divinely planned.
Always. Yeah.
Have a beautiful week. Happy new moon.
Oh,
Thanks for coming on Authenticity and joining the Sology Network community. I always tell my guests, come check us out, see what we're doing over here. There's many of us, many of producers who have many beautiful people, and it's just great to network and connect with people.
yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to join this group and like get to know you guys too. So thank you so much for
Thank
connecting
you, Lauren.
with you.
Stay connected. Bye-bye, my dear.
Bye.
Bye.